Jeffrey Epstein's suicide conspiracies. Everybody has one, and no one really believes the official story. Find out how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Jeffrey Epstein has done the impossible. With the allegations that Epstein ran an international underage sex trafficking ring for the rich and powerful, and his mysterious suicide while in custody, he's managed to turn literally everyone in the United States into a conspiracy theorist. Yes, it's really great to see people who watch CNN and people who watch Alex Jones finding common ground. Of course, the federal law enforcement officials are saying there was no conspiracy.
Multiple federal law enforcement officials have told NBC News that Epstein hanged himself and that there is no indication that foul play is suspected.
And obviously, when law enforcement officials say there's no conspiracy, people believe them. Hold on a second.
Jeffrey Epstein's death is raising troubling questions about how such a high-profile suspect could apparently take his own life while in custody. But it's also raising some conspiracy theories.
I love it when conspiracy theories and facts overlap to become news. But saying it's raising some conspiracy theories is a bit of an understatement. It's raising a Russian nesting doll of conspiracy theories. Not that I'm saying Russia has anything to do with it. The hashtag Clinton body count was trending on Twitter. In case you're not clued into that particular conspiracy theory, the idea is the Clintons kill people who have dirt on them. Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton did have a relationship. Epstein was involved in the Clinton Foundation, and Bill Clinton flew on Epstein's private jet. Clinton made at least 26 trips aboard the Lolita Express, even apparently ditching his Secret Service detail for at least 5 of the flights, according to records. But importantly, Bill Clinton has not officially been accused of any wrongdoing, and he says he hasn't talked with Epstein in more than a decade. But as the conspiracy goes, Bill Clinton was a customer of Epstein's, and so the Clintons silenced him so he couldn't talk. And Joe Rogan, host of the popular Joe Rogan Experience podcast, posted this on his Instagram account, which has over 7 million followers. Of course, that's just a joke. And then there's this.
He had information on the Clintons, and the man ended up dead. Now, for some odd reason, people that have information on the Clintons end up dead. And they usually die from suicide. But I don't know nothing. I'm just another black man on Twitter.
Oh, you're not just a black man on Twitter. You're a black man on Twitter who had your video retweeted by the President of the United States of America. Yes, President Donald Trump retweeted that video. And depending on how you feel about the Clintons, that was either great or horrible. CNN thinks it's horrible.
President Trump using his massive Twitter platform, 63 million followers, to spread a deranged conspiracy theory.
But it isn't just CNN.
Republican Marco Rubio agrees it's dangerous. He says there is evidence Russian bots are now pushing this new conspiracy theory online to further divide Americans.
Yes, a conspiracy theory about Russians spreading conspiracy theories. I told you it was a Russian nesting doll. Don't worry, Twitter was quick to act. After hashtag Clinton body count began trending, they removed it and replaced it with hashtag Trump body count. Or is that another conspiracy theory? Well, at least you're not Twitter's other Jeffrey Epstein. Poor guy. But no matter how much of a dumpster fire Twitter is, it still doesn't change the very bizarre facts of Epstein's suicide. And it's not just President Trump getting in on the conspiracy hype. It seems like everyone is. Even Nobel laureate Paul Krugman tweeted, "If we were living in a paranoid fantasy universe, I would be very suspicious about the Epstein suicide, even about whether it was really suicide." And you know what? The Epstein case itself shows that we are kind of living in a paranoid fantasy universe. The kind of fantasy universe where a man can allegedly run an international sex trafficking ring of minors for the global elite and not get caught for decades. Now, some conspiracies can be easily disproved. This photo showing Epstein, Trump, and his daughter turned out to be a composite of these two images. Then there was the conspiracy that President Obama made sure Epstein got his cushy 2008 plea deal to protect fellow Democrats. But that's fake too, since the plea deal was made before Obama even took office. And then there's the conspiracy that Epstein is actually still alive and being held by the military. Which, okay, sure. But there are weird things related to the Epstein case that are backed up by verified facts. And I'm not talking about how he wanted to seed the human race with his DNA by impregnating women at his ranch, or his plans to cryogenically freeze his head and penis, or how the FBI just raided his private island, the one with the weird temple that a contractor interviewed by Insider said looked like it had a door designed as if it were intended to lock people in. No, those are all true, but I'm not talking about those weird things. I'm talking about the weird things surrounding his alleged suicide, like the timing.
Epstein's death comes less than 24 hours after thousands of pages of revealing documents were unsealed in a case from an Epstein accuser against one of his former associates.
That accuser is Virginia Roberts Giuffre. She claims she was recruited by Ghislaine Maxwell as a teenage sex slave for Epstein. In fact, multiple witnesses had testified that Maxwell was responsible for recruiting, maintaining, harboring, and trafficking girls for Epstein. Giuffre says Epstein trafficked her to politicians, financiers, and even Prince Andrew from the British royal family. But okay, the timing of Epstein's death could be a coincidence. But here's a big question. Epstein had already tried to commit suicide a few weeks ago. So why wasn't Epstein on suicide watch? It turns out he was, but only for 6 days. 12 days after being taken off suicide watch, he killed himself. According to regulations, to get off suicide watch, the facility's psychologist would have had a face-to-face with Epstein and clear him. So, the man at the center of a potentially explosive case involving sex crimes of the most powerful people in the world tried to kill himself and yet wasn't on suicide watch when he killed himself. But even though he wasn't on suicide watch, Epstein was supposed to have a cellmate, and prison staff were still required to check on him every 30 minutes. Except, whoops, the prison just transferred his cellmate so Epstein was alone, even though that violated the jail's procedures. But prison staff were very diligent about checking in on him every 30 minutes, except for the several hours before he was found hanging in his cell. It turns out they may have been asleep and falsified the records. So, Epstein was left totally alone for several hours. Okay, weird. But let's not lose our heads here. After all, Epstein's suicide was likely recorded by jail cameras. Oh wait, there was no camera footage. Apparently there weren't any cameras in Epstein's cell. Go figure. Oh, did I mention the shrieking? I don't think there's been a story so primed to make your average American believe in conspiracy theories since the assassination of JFK. Which, by the way, there is a connection between the JFK assassination and Epstein's suicide. Epstein's representative hired Michael Baden, the same guy who did the autopsy on JFK, to do an autopsy on Epstein. Now it really is the Russian nesting doll of conspiracy theories. I feel like I'm this guy. And I don't think I'm the only one. According to the official autopsy report, Epstein had several broken neck bones. Experts told the Washington Post that one was more common in victims of homicide by strangulation. However, the investigation into Epstein's crimes and anyone else who may be involved did not die with Epstein. And that's really the only conspiracy that matters.
What's the likelihood that the victims will see the conspirators or even the co-conspirators held accountable?
Well, of course, we don't know for sure, but that seems to be what the U.S. Attorney in New York is saying, that the investigation will continue and that there is a question of conspiracy here, of whether anyone else is culpable in these crimes.
And U.S. Attorney General William Barr has this message for any co-conspirators.
The FBI and the Office of Inspector General are doing just that. We will get to the bottom of what happened, and there will be accountability. But let me assure you that this case will continue on against anyone who was complicit with Epstein. Any co-conspirators should not rest easy. The victims deserve justice, and they will get it.
But whatever you say about Epstein, at least he's with the angels now. What? Fallen angels are still angels. And you know he's in hell because none of those angels are underage. So, what do you think about Epstein's mysterious death? Give me your best conspiracy. I'm ready. And I'm going to go ahead and say YouTube has already instantly demonetized this video, like they did with our last Epstein video. That's why we rely on your support on the crowdfunding website Patreon. With $1 or more per episode, you can ensure we can afford to keep making more episodes uncovering America. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.